When selling your home, it is essential to make a positive impression on potential buyers during showings. I'm Lauren, this is Raul, and today we are going to be talking about common mistakes when your home is listed and potential buyers are setting up showings to view your home. So without showings, the chances of your home selling are probably a little more slim.
Sure.
So what do you recommend when a realtor tries to set up a showing?
So let's just assume the house is already on the market and we marketed it right and we got all the pictures, the photography, the staging, everything in play. When we're in that point and then an agent requests out to centralized showing time and gets an appointment request booked, or someone, like say you're going to do a showing, or you request, my client says, hey, I want to see the property on Friday from 12 to 12:30. We want to be as flexible as possible. The reason being is the more showings we get, the more opportunity we get to make more money.
And it only takes one buyer.
It only takes one buyer.
That one
exactly.
buyer.
and in this day and age, a lot of people got sidetracked in the COVID era where they could do virtual, sight unseen, things like that, but it's changed. If people don't get in your house, they want to touch it, they want to see it, they want to see their Christmas trees in the corner of the living room. So what we want to do is try to be accessible to the 10th degree. Showings are down a little bit more year over year just because of interest rates and things like that. So we want to make sure that we're able to give the best opportunity for our product or our house to sell. That way we get the biggest bang for our buck, the most equity for you guys. But ultimately, we got to leave it ready. I mean, you got to leave it as if you got a party in 30 minutes happening. I mean, you got to leave it as if your in-laws are coming in town.
Yep.
Ultimately, just, leave lights on, leave the windows open. That way, it's breathable and it looks right. And we're getting a lot of natural lighting in there.
What are your thoughts on the homeowner being present during a showing?
Well, I mean, it's not impossible to do, although you got to imagine someone having this tunnel vision on you while you're walking through the house. It makes things a little bit uncomfortable for the buyers, especially for the agent, because they don't want to be able to talk freely, right? They're going to say things like, oh, it looks great, it looks wonderful, everything looks nice, and then they're in and out of your house in a matter of 30, 45 seconds. Stats have shown that if someone's in your house longer than a minute, then things are pretty good, right? It's going in the way that the buyer's interested in the house. If they've stayed longer than 3 to 5 to 10 minutes, now we're really interested. But with the buyers feeling pressured from, say, I'm walking in your house and you're just sipping your coffee, looking over at me
It's like the car salesman that just follows you around.
What do you think about the living room? What do you think about the bay window? And just going on and on and on. Their minds are set of, this is awkward. I want to get out of here as fast as possible. And more than likely, they're not going to come back with an offer.
I know, me personally, I would automatically just be turned off because like you said, I want to be comfortable and be able to look without feeling like, someone's...
When you want to talk freely, if you don't like the color of the walls, you're not going to say, I don't like the color of the walls. You're just
Some might.
Some might, but I mean, you're not going to be able to speak freely with,
absolutely.
With your husband, whoever might be there, the kiddos, the realtor that's showing you the house. It just puts an uncomfortable feeling on you.
Totally agree.
And whenever you're uncomfortable, your first feeling is to get out of there.
Right.
And when we're trying to sell and maximize dollars, we want the buyers to be comfortable, stay there as long as possible, because that improves our odds of selling it for a higher value.
Yes. What are your thoughts on pets?
Pets. Well, pets are coming all shapes and sizes. I tell you what, I'm in houses every single day, and the big ones don't bother me, but the little chihuahuas do. They go after my ankles all the time. But nonetheless, we want to be sure that the buyers feel comfortable. I'm okay with, kenneling the dogs because the dogs typically are used to the kenneling side, or leaving the dogs in the backyard and just say, hey, upon second showing, we'll remove the dogs in case no one's able to go over during lunch and pull the dogs or, take them with them for a walk or whatnot. Cats are a little bit different. They stick to their own. I mean, we've had cats that, we've had 2-3 cats in a house and nothing really happens. They just stay in their own little corner. All we do is put a little note on the door saying, please close up right behind you. That way the cats don't get out. But other than that, I mean, we're very flexible. Just depends on the circumstances. Is it 1 dog? Is it 20 dogs? There's a lot of things that go into that.
Or this one might throw you off. So we sold our home a couple years ago, and we have those cabinets, and you have the glass on top of the cabinets.
Okay.
Well, we had run into them, and they asked us to come into their home and see what they had done differently. There was a python that they had put up above their cabinets.
Yeah, that's interesting.
A huge snake that they had put in those glass above. Can you imagine?
Yeah, no,
that's a true story.
But it happened. So we actually just sold a house, and actually we sold it really quickly, but it was in a perfect situation, perfect neighborhood. They had about 12 reptiles that they're from Hawaii. They came over and they had literally these tanks, these aquariums full of these pythons, lizards, and I don't even know what they were. They're all staring at me as I'm walking around the house. So it looked a little crazy, but nonetheless, they did the things necessary. They were clean.
Yes.
They weren't like, it didn't look like they were going to jump out and get anybody. The house was kept
Making
up.
sure that the odor's not there.
Exactly. Well, that's the other part, right? As long as the inside, I guess, like the materials inside is cleaned out and refreshed, the water's been refreshed. There's not any dead rats or anything like laying there creating the smell. They were on top of it, and it smelled like you wouldn't know that there was anything there because they followed our guidance and our recommendations. But at the end of the day, the household and all those, they were like carrying out the reptiles, like going to the U-Haul and then trying to get over to the other house. It was crazy, but they're living in their new house now. They love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So there is a difference between a showable home and a livable home.
Yes.
So can you dive into what the difference would be for someone who maybe...
Sure. So I think the best way to say it is we all want to not modify as much as we need to sell our house. We have kiddos running around, which is great. I went in a house, it looked like a jungle gym, and it was cool because they're all brand new toys and everything like that. But it was like, when do you stop, right?
Yep.
Upstairs, downstairs, the 3 rooms on the side, everything had toys. But when we're trying to sell the house, we don't want people thinking about all the clutter because their minds get distracted. So we always try to say, all right, let's declutter. Let's pack a lot of them away, put them in the garage, and just have one room to where the kids could kind of hang out.
Yes.
And we're talking about temporary time, right?
Right.
So that's one part, right?
Less
Just
is
kind of
more.
cleaning up. Less is definitely more. But I think when we talk about livable versus showable, yes, you're living in the house. Yes, you still got to brush your teeth. Yes, you still got to do the dishes, things like that. But you don't have to leave the dishes. You don't have to leave the toothbrush out on the countertop.
Right.
I mean, we could do things to where it looks an organized life, right? I mean, just like act like you got in-laws coming over or something like that, you don't want them to think that you live like this or like that. I mean, there's simple ways. I get it. Sometimes the phone rings, you got to run out of the house really quickly, but you could pick up your clothes, and you can pick up everything. You can make your bed. I mean, making your bed's a huge one.
Yes.
Because a lot of people think that if you don't make your bed, you're not taking care of the house. And when you don't take care of the house, there could be a lot of costs that are related to that long term. Deferred maintenance, ACs, is a filter that's been changed out, things like that. So people correlate the living standards with what they're going to actually get when they buy.
Yes, and then it can happen. I mean, listing your home is stressful, and I know that you can literally get a request for a showing. They're outside, so you have to be on top of your game all the time. And I remember I've had dirty dishes in my sink when they've called, and I wouldn't recommend this, but I didn't want them out, so I just threw them under the cabinet for the time being. So because hopefully they're not going through my cabinets, but it looked clean.
Yeah.
You just don't want that out.
Yeah, and it's a little things, I mean, you just picking up after yourself, having the kiddos incentivize them, like, hey, kids, if we're going to keep this house clean, you're going to get a brand new house, you're going to get that room, we're going to buy you that toy, just to kind of make them, feel like they're part of this process, because it's tough for anybody just to maintain a household in general, but much tougher when you have 2 dogs, you have 3 kiddos. I mean, it gets tough, and you work the long day, so I get it. But we also got to remember, we want to maximize your dollars. And at the end of the day, if you had an extra 10 grand versus not, it was all worth it.
Absolutely. It's temporary.
Very temporary. And another thing I'm thinking about is sometimes when we list houses for people that are landlords, they have rentals. A lot of times the renters don't really care. I mean, they're like, I got to go find a new place. Where am I going to live? It is what it is. They never answer my calls when I called them, things like that. Well, the best way for a landlord to incentivize a renter is to just say, hey, I'll give you a discount, or hey, if you keep the house clean, show ready, I'll give you all your deposit back, whatever it might be, or give them gift cards for dinner or something like that, because they're the reason the house is going to sell, not because the landlord put it on the market. It's because what the house looks like, because if their mind's distracted, they're gone.
We hope we have provided you with some great tools to keep in mind when showing your home. Please reach out if you have any questions. I'm Lauren. This is Raul once again, and we'll see you next time.
And remember, every situation is different. Reach out to us. We'll give you some advice and teach you or show you how to get your house sold. Look forward to seeing y'all. Have a blessed day. We'll talk to y'all soon.